Hello everybody. So this video is exactly as the title suggests. It is a tier list of every theatrical Spider-Man release, including Into the Spider-Verse, the animated one of course, because spoilers, it's worthy of being included. There's no extra or alternative angle here. It's completely unscripted. I figured I'd make a quick, easy video in between the bigger ones. Probably gonna do a Hunter x Hunter analysis next for the next bigger video, but let's not waste any more time and jump right into it. So first up on the list, and probably, well, maybe not even probably. I mean, I'd say the worst movie on the list. We're starting off with a true dumpster fire with the Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I think, to nobody's surprise, this is some D-tier trash. My God, where do you begin with this one? The opening scene of the movie, aside from being horribly shot, there's like a million cuts. The action is nonsensical and practically impossible to engage with. It's the complete opposite of riveting. It spoils one of Peter's primary focuses of the fucking film, which is uncovering the mystery of what happened to his parents. Well, they died in a fucking plane crash. An assassin tried to take him out, yada yada. You saw what happened. It's absurd. It's awful. It's terrible. Ridiculous way to start the film. On top of the fact it's like tonal whiplash because it feels like a fucking espionage action film. And Peter's parents talking about in ways that I've never seen humans communicate before, talking about how they're never going to see their kid again and whatnot. So yeah, aside from that, oh Christ, I mean, Harry, I really haven't seen anything else. The actor, I cannot think of his name right now. I'm sorry, but Harry's actor has been in, but maybe it was the script, maybe it was the directing, but whatever the reason, the performance is dreadful. It's awful. I mean, most of his lines are just pure meme fuel. Like, I guess that's one semi-redeeming quality, but the way he was written, the whole you take his pictures, you know him, and then needing his blood, and oh God, and then Spider-Man comes and talks to him just to tell him no, like, sorry bro, it's not happening, dips, and then the you're a fraud. Oh God, it's amazing. Terrible. Electro, horrendous. I don't think Jamie Foxx is a fantastic actor by any means. I think he's best in roles where he doesn't have to act as much, like doesn't have to really talk, minimal dialogue, try to hide him as much as you can. And like Django Unchained, for example, I think is probably my favorite thing I've seen him in. But I'm not into the initial characterization, the socially rejected and socially inept uh Max, whatever. I think his name's Max, but Christ, and I'm sorry. I actively tried not to long-term memory for my own sake, but him falling into the vat of electric eels to get his powers, and then the teeth, fucking the gap in the teeth closing, and I think that's ridiculous. The scientist that is initially going to experiment on him or whatever is hilariously cliche, just like comical. I mean, they had to know this shit was trash when they were filming. They had to. Why Electro turns on Spider-Man? That whole scene just makes no sense. Like, they're trying to, like, I guess the powers that he received, becoming Electro. They're trying to imply that he's not thinking straight. Like, this obviously took a big toll, I guess, on his psyche. He was already unstable, obviously, but yeah, anyways, they try to like reason out, so like through his own dialogue, he's like talking to himself, talking to Spider-Man about how he tricked them, and he's lied to him, and at first, like, I guess he's affected by the fact that the crowd is against him, and starts cheering for Spider-Man, like, and then he gets the fucking monologue or about the light. I'm gonna take everyone's light away or whatever. Turn the light off, or you're gonna live in the darkness. Like, know my world. And you live in my world. Oh, it's horrible. I hate it. I really don't like it. Really bad. So one thing about Spider-Man movies, even if the film aspect, like the filmmaking qualities are poor, you can redeem the film, or not redeem the film, but it at least can become watchable if you have good action scenes, which I think is where, to an extent, the MCU Spider-Man movies can be enjoyed. But we'll get into that. But in Amazing Spider-Man 2, they make the baffling decision to turn all the action scenes into music videos because I guess Pharrell insisted. And you don't say no to Pharrell, but Christ, it ruins them. The climactic battle with Electro, I think, is the best example because that's where they go all in with this ridiculous fucking concept. Yeah, and it just ruins them. Like, it just completely takes you out of the film, like destroys any suspension of disbelief you may have, upheld up to that point. Probably not, but I don't know, man. Like, it forces the action scene to become something more beat by beat. Oh God, that's terrible. It just becomes limited, and the whole idea leaning into the music video thing and trying to sync up climactic points of the battle with climactic points in the song or in the fucking dubstep, whatever noise that they're assaulting my eardrums with, but it just doesn't work. Like, it just doesn't work. I don't know. Like, I guess on paper it's like it's an interesting concept, like purely on paper, but it just doesn't work. Like, the fucking pace of a song, it doesn't translate to the typical pacing that's required for a good fight. It just doesn't translate. But I'm trying to think. I mean, the music in this movie, like the pop songs, the fucking gone whatever Philip shit playing over the connecting the dots, like June and Peter's trying to get to the bottom of the I guess his parents fucking, what they left them, or I know he's trying to figure out what happened to him, but obviously that's been completely destroyed for the audience. But he throws the calculator or whatever at the wall, and in the coins, these coins come out, man, these fucking coins, and he goes to a subway station or some shit and puts the coins in the receptacle, and an underground laboratory or an entrance to that laboratory, whatever it was, arises from the ground. And he watches a video, I think, right at that point, once he discovers the underground laboratory hiding beneath, I think, an abandoned subway system. My God, that his dad in the video, he acknowledges Peter. He says, like, his son's most important thing to him, whatever. Andrew starts crying. Andrew Garfield's a good actor. I just don't think he's a good Peter Parker. And I do think a lot of it's definitely the writing, the way they wrote him in this movie. For one, like, in back, I mean, it's kind of back to the action scenes with Spider-Man. Another thing that kind of fucks him up is there's no the stakes are non-existent in terms of, like, the danger to civilians and what. Like, Peter is cracking jokes in situations, like, it's fine for Spider-Man. It's actually based on the source material, an essential part of his character, the levity he brings to sometimes dire situations, but never at the expense of innocent lives. The whole, before the Rhino gets his powers, well, that's shoved in at the end of the movie, makes no sense, but not to get sidetracked. The actor that plays the Rhino appears early in the film, and there's a car chase where he's driving a big-ass armored truck, and it's plowing through innocent civilians, cops, you name it, man. It's hitting a lot of cars, man, causing a lot of damage. And Spider-Man's at the window, many an opportunity to stop this, and he's cracking jokes with the guy. Fucking around, and it's like, bro, oh God, what are you doing? I mean, this is fucked up for obvious reasons. I don't even need to explain. I'm not gonna waste any more time on this. I've already wasted fucking 10 minutes going into how trash this movie is. I think there's plenty of content on YouTube that also goes into how trash this shit is. But Anyways, Amazing Spider-Man 2, undoubtedly D tier. Undoubtedly, it's awful. All right, so the first movie and this ill-fated reboot Sony attempted, The Amazing Spider-Man, C tier. I do think it's better than The Amazing Spider-Man 2, obviously. It's nothing special. I think the first half of the film is pretty solid, and it kind of goes off the rails in the second half with the lizards plot to turn everyone else in New York into lizards. Oh. And I really hate the cliche-ass fucking Gwen Stacy's dad, as he's dying, telling Peter, to stay away from Gwen. I get it. Like, I know you can explain, he doesn't want Gwen to be in danger because Peter is Spider-Man. Yeah, I know, I get it. But it's just been done to death, this whole idea. And, obviously, they're not going to fucking listen. So, I mean, I guess you just have it in there to give something to guilt him for making this decision. And when she inevitably bites the dust in the second movie, it's like, I told you so, Peter. I fucking told you so. Now she's dead, like me. But fuck it. I don't like it. The first half of the movie, I like the skateboarding scene. I like the scenes with Gwen and Peter. It's and widely kind of accepted that the best parts of this movie are definitely the chemistry, the scenes between Gwen and Peter, and the chemistry that's established between them is very nice, and I like it. And it's well done. It's cute. It's endearing. You definitely care about their relationship at least I did. I don't like this whole series. The entire Amazing Spider-Man's Aunt May is not good, man. I'm sorry. She doesn't come across as, insightful and empathetic and very, in touch with people's emotions and kind of the sides of themselves that they aren't comfortable revealing. She kind of provides comfort and that non-judgmental acceptance that allows people to open up and that allows some really sensitive emotional scenes to take place between her and other characters when she's done right. And she's a strong character. She's a strong woman. She doesn't take any shit. She's in The Amazing Spider-Man, she's nagging and she's definitely not strong. She's kind of like an emotional wreck. It's fine for her to be struggling or emotional. Obviously, the death of Ben is very difficult for her, but she's not supposed to be burdensome to other characters. That's not the point. She's supposed to actually take on more than she probably can from a mental health standpoint, for the sake of others, so that they can be happier and they don't have to deal with as much. I feel like that's just the way to write her character. The laundry scene too. I know that's Amazing Spider-Man 2, not 1, but the fucking laundry scene. I feel like that was kind of their attempt to recreate the same feel and dynamic that was in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 scene in the after Peter's party, where he notices the bills piling up and she tries to give him $20 and he doesn't want to take it, and she kind of briefly snaps. I don't want to say snaps, but she she says, "Yes, you can take this money. It's not much, but for God's sake, now take it." It's a very sad scene, and it hits hard, and it's incredibly well acted, but it hits so hard because you care about the relationship that's been established between Peter and Aunt May, and you know how she's feeling, and you understand the pressure that's on really both of them. I mean, Peter, we're focusing on primarily, but it works so well because you do care about Aunt May on top of that. It's just not the laundry scene's ridiculous, dude. It's so poorly written for one. I mean, it drags on. They're going back and forth forever, just saying the same shit. Aunt May's just, I've always done your laundry since you were 6. That's what I do. I do your laundry. And then the laundry sheriff line. It's just not good, man. It's just not good. Aunt May's not good. Ben's okay. He's all right. He's played out in the standard, accepted, kind of expected way that Ben Parker is generally played out, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing exceptional about it, but it's fine. So yeah, I don't have that much to say about Amazing Spider-Man 1. I mean, I think what it does right, isn't the kind of stuff that is gonna create a super like iconic, memorable Spider-Man. Like, I mean, I personally, I'd rather have. I know his relationships are important. His relationship with Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy, his love interest. That's like his love life's an important part of the character. Something that he greatly struggles with, and that he's kind of taken away from him due to the responsibility of being Spider-Man, and he's got to juggle both, and it's kind of impossible. And there's a lot of good stories that you can write from that, and there's a lot of personal challenges that Peter must deal with that can come from that. But I don't think the relationship should be the strongest aspect of the film. I'd much rather the primary conflict written for Spider-Man and Peter, the one that's challenging both sides of the individual, not just the Peter Parker relationship side. I don't know. Anyways, it's C tier. Okay, let's get into some gaseous clay here. An absolute rack. One of the best superhero films, perhaps the best superhero film of all time, and one of my favorite films of all time, superhero or not, regardless of genre. I don't care. It's incredible. Spider-Man 2. Oh boy, yeah. Where do I start with this one? It's aged like fine wine. It still holds up incredibly well to this day. Modern superhero films have a lot to learn from this one. It's a true testament to the ability to tell emotionally engaging and mature stories through these superheroes, and it kind of is confirmation and proof that that's possible. These films weren't taken very seriously. Superhero films, the idea that you could make serious Hollywood dramas or like character studies via superheroes was not accepted, or at least wasn't proven. But Spider-Man 2, X-Men, Spider-Man 1, like these movies all were proof against that idea, and Spider-Man 2 was almost like the culmination. But what can I say about Spider-Man 2 that hasn't already been said? It's a classic. It truly is incredible and lives up to all the hype. I'm probably going to do a full video on maybe the whole Sam Raimi trilogy, but at least Spider-Man 2. At least Spider-Man 2. I mean, because I really do think it's incredible. So I don't want to go into too much detail regarding my thoughts, but the way that these characters are written, really, I mean, especially Peter, I mean, the conflict he faces in Spider-Man 2, am I really responsible for this burden, of being Spider-Man, and the massive implications that entails, the huge hamper it puts on my personal life? I mean, he gets shit on in this movie, absolutely shit on. Like, every aspect of his personal life is falling apart, and it's all for the sake of being Spider-Man for a city that it fucking shits on him in response. He's not like there's any gratification or there's any praise for this job. Like, it's a totally loveless fucking occupation. I don't blame the man for being burnt out, and you totally understand where he's coming from. You get it. You feel for the guy. And it's the way they portray this, the both sides of this conflict, it's incredible. It's very, very compelling. And the action scenes, oh my god, the punches, they're so weighty. I mean, there's actual impact. Like, there's speed, the velocity that Spider-Man moves at and launches punches at and gets hit at, tossed at, shit thrown at him, tossed into shit. It's incredible, man. Like, it's so dynamic. It's so fucking sick. It's not rubbery, and the CGI and reliance that you see in MCU films and the MCU Spider-Man and modern blockbusters, a lot of it looks great. It's cool that the technology's come so far, but it's just no replacing two actors actually throwing fucking haymakers at each other. Like, they still haven't mastered that weight, the physics behind the force that'd be generated if someone with the strength that Spider-Man's strength actually threw a haymaker. Like, but anyways, it looks incredible, and the whole movie's incredible, and I feel like we all know this already, so let's move on. Spider-Man 3. Okay, this one, controversial film to say the least. Very, very divisive. A lot of people think this film's trash. A lot of people think it's, a complete deviation from what the first and second film established tonally and in terms of its execution, for sure. But a lot of people, in hindsight, view it very fondly. It's almost got like a cult classic kind of feel to it, where you acknowledge the shortcomings, and you know that there's aspects of it that are poorly done and cringy, whatever. But there's a lot about this movie that's kind of underappreciated, almost like kind of slept on and overlooked because of the funnier parts, like the dancing and some of the dialogue. But anyways, the thing with Spider-Man 3, I don't hate it. Like, I don't, obviously I acknowledge its flaws. I'm going to put it in the B tier. It's not a terrible movie. I think the action still holds up. For one, the action's still incredible. Fight scenes, the Sandman fight scenes, the New Goblin fight scenes, so dope. When Spider-Man's in his street clothes, the final battle. I mean, I don't like the fact that they're joking and shit. I can't stand that. It's like, stop cracking jokes. Stop with the, you're getting beaten to death, fucking absolutely annihilated by a massive multi-ton fists of Sandman while getting choked out by Venom. I just don't like the jokes. Just in time or whatever. A couple minutes ago wouldn't have been too bad either. And then when he saves MJ, am I interrupting? No, take that shit out. Don't have it in there, man. I'm sorry. I don't like that. You should not inject humor into situations with this much peril involved and situations with this much on the line. Yeah, so Spider-Man 3 tried to do too much, obviously. It's a bloated fucking film. Like, why did they feel the need? Okay, so we know what happened with Venom. I don't want to say why did they feel the need to inject Venom into the script when I understand that it was Sony. It was the producers that were telling, Raimi, hey, look, we let you do these classic Spider-Man villains. We let you do what you want. We let you do Goblin, Doc Ock, Sandman. You're getting in this film, but you got to do Venom. Venom's gonna fly off the shelves, man. Think of the action figure sales. Think of the kiddies. They love Venom. They love him. I mean, come on, Sam. Quit being a buzzkill, bro. It's gonna sell like crazy. Come on, man. Just put him in the last. Put him in the end of the film. Just put him in the climax. Come on, Sam. And they got him. I mean, it's hard to blame. It's hard to blame the man. I feel like he probably, at the time, was thinking, I can do this, I can pull this off, I'm going to compromise. I guess, they're right, I have been given creative freedom, whatever this case was. I guess I don't want to speculate too much, but Venom was shoehorned in, and you got Topher Grace, who's a good actor, but I don't like his Venom. I just don't think he's a good Eddie Brock. I don't think that's what Eddie Brock's supposed to be. Eddie Brock's more of like a brute, more of a yoked out, fucking traditional Catholic. Like, the way the comic books characterize him he was a pretty interesting guy, but he was a believable person. But he's just not what Topher Grace portrayed. And it's not that you can do that. Like, I mean, you have the creative freedom to make these alterations in the way you portray the characters. You don't have to be like one-to-one faithful with the source material, but it's still got to work, within the narrative itself. And I just think, Venom kind of sticks out. It's like you got this story going on top of the whole thing with this asshole that you just don't really care about, like on that deep level, in terms of his scene in the church where he's, I want you to kill Peter Parker. I come to you humiliated, whatever. Like, I don't know, man. So yeah, Venom, fuck Venom. I like being evil. It makes me happy. Well, it would have made me happy if you weren't in the film. So, that's Spider-Man 3. It's got some good aspects, got some bad aspects, but all in all, I think it's a fun time, and I'm putting it in the B tier. All right. So I'm gonna finish out the Raimi trilogy. I know it's not the order that this is listed in, but screw the order. We do what we want around here. So, Spider-Man 1. Raimi's first. It's a tough one. Where's it going? Hey, A tier. We're going with the A tier. I think that's fair. Willem Dafoe is an absolute legend. A king. God amongst men. He's an incredible actor. I love him. And his Green Goblin, his portrayal as Green Goblin is so good. It automatically makes Spider-Man 1's villain one of the best in any Spider-Man movie ever made. I really, really like the Green Goblin in this, so I think it elevates the whole movie substantially. But Spider-Man 1, it has some issues for sure. Like, I don't think it's aged perfectly well. Like, it's got some early 2000s ham. Obviously, the wrestling scene, it's got. I like some aspects of it. The introductions is hilarious and classic, but that's a nice outfit. Did your husband make it for you? That we probably shouldn't be saying stuff like that in 2023. Yeah, so there's certain aspects like that. I think the way MJ's written, I don't hate it necessarily. I do think that their relationship is pretty compelling. And the whole, ongoing secret and being Spider-Man, her kind of sort of figuring it out towards the end, I like that. But the damsel in distress trope, obviously it's very played out in the early 2000s. I don't think people look twice at it, but today it feels pretty, like I said, pretty played out. So some aspects in that regard, you haven't aged perfectly well. But overall, I think the movie's great. Definitely is very nostalgic and it has that early 2000s feeling in a good way as well. It's not all bad. I think the action holds up pretty well. Trying to think. The CGI is not extensively used to the point where it brings the film down. I definitely don't think that's the case. But when it's there, it doesn't look amazing. I guess like some of the, what do you call that, when actors are hooked up to the wires and they're being flung around and whatnot, whatever you call that. Sometimes it's like not super, you can just tell. Like you can tell that's the case, that they're being descended slowly or they're being pulled away by something. And I really it's kind of charming. I don't hate it, but I guess it's worth pointing out. It's probably going to be noticeable today. But a lot of these are nitpicks. That's why it's an A tier. It's just not a truly, truly complete film and not executed to such an expert level and such a Spider-Man 2 is a great movie first and foremost, and the narrative is incredibly strong and holds up and supports the entire film, on top of the fact the action scenes are incredible. And Spider-Man 1 has all that going for it, just not to the same degree of excellence. And Willem Dafoe, though, is as good as any villain I've ever seen in any Spider-Man. But anyways, A tier for Spider-Man 1. All right, now we get into the MCU Spider-Man. So let's start. Let's do it in order of release. So we've got Homecoming to start with, and this is a tough one. I will say, this is probably. I mean, if it wasn't for the fan service aspect of No Way Home, then No Way Home is so satisfying in that regard. I love the fact that they brought in Andrew Garfield and Toby. Christ, it's tough. Where do I put this one? All right, Homecoming. I'm going to put it in the B tier, but I'm putting it ahead of Spider-Man 3. I think that's what that order implies. But anyways, that's ahead of Spider-Man 3. I think it's better than Spider-Man 3. I think it's too competently made as a film to not put it ahead of Spider-Man 3, which has more objective problems in that regard. So I like I like the plot in this movie. I like the fact that Adrian Toomes, the Vulture, which is played by Michael Keaton, who's a great actor, who I think does a great job in this movie as well. I think he owns a salvage company. They're contracted to clean up the city, but the Department of Damage Control, they have a partnership with Stark Industries, and they lose the contract, and Stark Industries takes over. And this understandably pisses off Toomes, who in response steals the Chitauri, I think, technology that they scavenged, and they create weapons to sell on the black market, and that's where Toomes gets the Vulture suit that he uses to steal Chitauri power cells. And then it goes forward 8 years, and we jump into Peter Parker's life. I like the fact that since we already established Spider-Man's existence in this universe and Civil War, we don't have to go over another, Uncle Ben dying and Peter, getting the great power comes great responsibility spiel. And, we all know that story. And I feel like, the Marvel writers kind of understood that as well and spared us from another rehash. And, it helps with the movie's pacing. It's very, very brisk, doesn't have much fat on it. And it gets to the point, which I appreciate. I like the fact that in Homecoming, since Peter is still learning and he's still an amateur, still a novice, it's pretty grounded. It's not a huge, massive, world-ending threat that he's got to deal with. It's more of a neighborhood, small scale, local problem for the most part, and keeps things consistent tonally and keeps things believable, and keeps that underdog feeling going. Helps you root for Peter, who is played by Tom Holland, who I think's a great choice. I do like the casting. I think there's some quirks about his Peter that can get a little bit annoying. Sometimes he just like doesn't take things as serious as I feel like he should. I mean, that was much better in No Way Home, to be fair, because things got pretty heavy in that movie, and I think Tom Holland proved that he was capable of portraying that kind of emotionally intense type of scene. He showed he was capable of portraying that kind of emotional depth, the emotional depth that's required for those heavier scenes. So it's not a huge issue, but it's just like the only thing that keeps him he's probably the only thing that keeps him from equaling Tugboat's portrayal of Peter. I still think Toby's my favorite, but a lot of that's probably personal bias for the Raimi films. But yeah, no problems with Tom Holland. I think he's a fine Peter. But anyways, not too much Stark's fucking spider suit, Deus Ex Machina bullshit. Peter's handling pretty much everything with his own wit and powers and intuition. I really like that scene in the car where the Vulture like pulls the gun on Peter and reveals what he knows, and he makes the threat. It's very well done, and it's fucking intense, man. Like, you feel the danger like that Peter's in. It doesn't feel surface level. The plot armor feels like it's vulnerable for a second in that scene. So it's awesome. Yeah, Homecoming's a fine start for the MCU trilogy. I'm putting it in the B tier. Another thing I'll mention real quick is I don't get the hype with Zendaya. Don't think she's. I'm not even gonna get into her acting abilities. I don't think she's a great actress. Like, long story short, but I really don't like her Mary Jane. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She is so annoying and awkward, and like it's just she's not likable, and she's always putting people down, and she's kind of a dick to Peter. I don't get why Peter is so enamored with her. It makes no sense. She feels like she's playing, like, trying so hard to play this super eccentric, defying all expectations you could possibly have of this character, because I'm so progressive, and I'm all for progressive portrayals of female characters and break tired conventions and tired tropes. Like, I'm all for that, but it's got to be executed well. I can't pull for something that I don't think is done well, and it's just not likable. I'm sorry. It's just very hard to pull for this character and their relationship, and Peter's, the whole romantic dynamic between her and Peter. Anyways, that's Homecoming. Let's jump into Far From Home. God. I'm putting in C tier, man. I'm putting it ahead of Amazing Spider-Man, but it's C tier. This movie was, like, pretty well received when it came out. And I tell you what, I don't understand it. I never did understand it. I like Jake Gyllenhaal. I think his Mysterio is, well acted. I don't have a problem with the performance. I guess that's really all I can say about it, though. I mean, the problem with Far From Home is the plot. It is the writing. Okay. To start off, I can't stand the fact that the snap is played off as a joke, and they completely destroy, any gravity the situation may have held, which it certainly is a hugely impactful, hugely important, hugely traumatic event that, it's could you imagine, like, that'd be like after 9/11, a school, you're doing a school broadcast, and them, portraying it the way they did in that movie. It would be like incredibly offensive and insensitive, insulting. Like, it's just, I don't understand why they decided to inject humor into something with that much emotional weight. It makes no sense. Anyways, ignoring that, I don't have a problem with the European trip. The what was it, 2-week summer field trip to Europe. Allows them to travel to some cool location, gives them a cool setting for shit to take place in. I don't have an issue with that. Peter plans to reveal his attraction, I guess, to MJ on the trip, which is fine. I've already said what I said about MJ, so sure, whatever, it's fine. Issues rear their ugly head when you really scrutinize the elements of the plot. I mean, for one, goddamn, Shield has fallen from grace. Like this organization, when it was introduced, was mysterious, like a hyper competent, super well equipped, intimidating, damn near omnipotent force that mattered and like didn't fuck around, and when they had a job to do, they got it done very well. And in this movie, and kind of like a general trend in the MCU, I mean, I guess it's not a trend, it's just the fact that whatever serves the plot, whatever serves their needs in that moment, that's how they're going to utilize Shield or Stark Industries, or to hell with any kind of consistency or any kind of narrative cohesion. It's whatever serves a purpose. They're pure plot devices. That's what it feels like, because S.H.I.E.L.D. is tricked by Beck. They just go along with it feels like. They just believe this dude who shows up when the first elemental, the water elemental, I believe, attacks in Europe, in Venice, I think. Peter changes into Spider-Man, is fighting it, and then Beck shows up and handles shit, and it's like, oh shit, we got this Avenger level hero here who's very capable, and it's nice to have this guy on our side. And he talks about his world and his dimension. I forget whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, the world has been destroyed by these elementals, and he's here to prevent that from happening in our dimension. And there's like one more or something, the fire elemental to deal with. But the question I got with the Mysterio thing, ends up finding out that they're projectors, that it's not real, they're not actually present. It's just a bunch of drones firing a very convincing projection of these monsters that I guess have a bunch of super soakers attached to them so that they can spray fucking water on people. And like, my question is, I get how the visual side of things is covered and how the illusion visually is held up. I can believe that, I get that, but the physical interaction and the physical aspects of the illusion, the fucking water you would feel splashing on you, and the metal the thing absorbs at one point, like the fire elemental, I think, like absorbs a bunch of metal. It's just like he's interacting with physical matter, and like physical matter is interacting with people. And how is that pulled off? I don't, that's never explained. If it is, I missed it, but I just feel like that's not given the attention it needs to truly, explain that. But anyways, you've got the Edith thing too in this movie. So in the movie, Fury meets with Peter. He gives him Stark's glasses, which were meant to be given to a successor. It's a big moment for Peter and his growth and his character to be trusted with these glasses, and the responsibility is massive, because with these glasses, you can communicate with and take command of Edith, which is the artificial intelligence that has access to orbital weapons, Stark Industries databases. I mean, you literally have direct control over an army of drones that can come down and target whatever the hell you want, to target people or things your heart's desire. It's quite the responsibility, quite the destructive capabilities. Kind of ridiculous to give to a high schooler, but whatever, they do. So after Peter gets the glasses, you have the completely unnecessary, ridiculous school bus scene where Peter almost kills his entire class and the bus driver and maybe some cars passing by, because of these fucking glasses, man. Like, he accidentally targets one of his classmates, and it's a close call. Like, he's got to destroy some drones to prevent it from happening. It's absurd. Like, why inject humor into the movie at the expense of the characters, like at the expense of Peter's competence? And he looks like an absolute irresponsible fool, a buffoon. It's I guess maybe they're trying to hammer home the idea that he's not ready for these glasses, or oh god, I don't know. If you take that entire scene out, nothing changes. Just remove the damn bus scene. So Fury tries to get Peter to come help in the fight against the fire elemental with Beck. And I guess because Shield is desperate for help, man. Like, they just desperately need this, at this point, fairly low-level superhero, teenager to come save their ass in this fight against the fire elemental, man. Like, God, it's I don't like that, man. S.H.I.E.L.D. sucks. Now, Peter doesn't want to. He rejects the offer, and he wants to enjoy his European field trip. And I don't blame the guy in some regard, and then in another light, it's kind of like, dude, this comes with the territory. Like, you kind of knew what you were signing up for being Spider-Man. He doesn't feel as grown, and he doesn't feel, I guess, as responsible as Tugboat. And it's harder to get behind this Peter in that regard because, I don't know, it's like, I don't want to say that I don't want to be too harsh and say he's being selfish, but it kind of is. Apparently, the stakes, and it is ridiculous that S.H.I.E.L.D's just incompetent, but like, what's on the line. But yeah, Peter rejects the invitation to join the fight. So, in response, Fury secretly changes the itinerary and diverts the students to Prague. It's forces Peter to assist back in the fight against the fire elemental at the expense of the class's safety and well-being. What the fuck? Why? Why? You see what they've done to Fury. Do you understand now? Fuck that. That's ridiculous. What the fuck? Where are the priorities? Like, the stakes are that high where it's like, look, at least tens of people will probably die, if not more, but it's better than the whole world fucking succumbing to the elementals. Then where are the Avengers? Where are the A-list heroes? At least, where the fuck's Thor? Where is anyone, bro? Anyone. Any of the A-list heroes. And the problem that's been created by having this extended MCU where all these heroes exist in the same timeline, the same world, all that, is this problem where, it happened with the Eternals, where it had to shove in an explanation and, just to directly address that very question. Like, it didn't have any, it felt like almost a fourth wall break because there was no direct plot relevancy other than the fact that, the audiences will definitely have this question and we have to address this, so let's get it out the way. Oh, they were, instructed not to meddle in Earth's affairs, even though, this is a fucking cosmic scale problem. Threat. Thanos and the Infinity Stones was far bigger than just Earth, but whatever. Yeah, sure. Not supposed to intervene. Fuck everyone. Fuck it all. Fuck it. God. And so, yeah, it just creates this problem of narrative consistency where apparently the Avengers literally exist to deal with, existential threats, and planet destroying type threats, and yet we have what we have here. Whatever. Fuck it. Again, fuck it. Because that's what the MCU said. Fuck it. People just want their spectacle. So fuck narrative consistency. So Peter and Beck manage to destroy Fire Elemental. So they celebrate and kick back at a bar or something in Berlin. And Beck convinces manipulates really Peter into giving him control of Edith. He gives him the damn glasses. This dude that he's met like a few days ago that hasn't actually substantiated any of his claims, other than the fact that, as far as they know, he has powers because of his ultra convincing fucking illusions that have super soakers attached to him. They at least are convinced of his powers. He's a legit superhuman, but they don't actually know if anything the other shit he's saying is true. They haven't validated any of it. They just take his word for it. And this goes as far as Peter giving him control of fucking Edith. And right after Peter dips, we see that entire bar was an illusion, and Beck and his whole team start cracking up. Yeah, it's a mission accomplished. We've got control of Edith, and then Beck goes into his backstory about how he was a former Stark employee whose tech was stolen, and then he was fired. And God, fuck, shit. It's again, Gyllenhaal does a fine job. He's a good actor. I think the scene itself is well done. It's kind of funny. The comedic timing on Gyllenhaal's part's great. And so the scene itself's fine. It's just when you scrutinize this shit, it kind of falls apart. Like, did Edith not have a database of ex Stark employees? Like, you would think that would be something, an all-knowing fucking AI that's tapped into Stark's central database would be able to let Peter know that this dude's not who he says he is. Like, the information's not matching up. Beware, warning. Yet none of that happens, and sure, he gets control of Edith. So, okay, look, I know I'm going into greater detail with this movie than any of the others on this list, but I feel like I have to justify my criticism. Like, I have to justify why I don't think this movie's great or good, even. Like, even people seem to think fairly highly of it. I mean, I know it was very well received, so I feel like I'm going against the grain shitting on it, but I just don't think it holds up to any kind of scrutiny. I mean, even the climax. I mean, like I said, the spectacle's great. I think the way they portray Peter's spider sense, like the visual stylization of his spider sense is really cool in the scene where he's using it to get through the drones. That's cool. That's well done. It looks awesome. He gets hit by the train, first encounter with Beck, when he finds, at this point he knows, obviously, he's a villain, and he gets annihilated. He gets curb stomped and gets hit with a train, like straight up, like completely unexpected. Like, Peter did not see it coming, so he couldn't brace himself in any way. So he's in a totally defenseless state when he gets just absolutely fucking plowed by this train that's going like full speed, it looks like. And I know Spider-Man's durable, obviously. He's got superpowers, I get it. But I mean, what I mean, you would think that would at least like shatter damn near every bone in his body. I mean, even if it didn't kill him, he would be gravely injured, but he just takes a nap on the train, sleeps it off. I mean, he sleeps it off, dude. Like, again, consistency. Like, what the hell? What the fuck? Like, where if you're gonna establish some parameters in regards to, your hero's durability and their power levels, you got to be consistent with it. I think it's just a lazy fucking script, but yeah. So Peter confronts Beck. Okay, real quick. Oh God, this movie. Okay, so MJ confronts Peter, or I don't know, forget who confronted who, but they're talking, and I think Peter's about to like, or he's telling her how he feels at this point. But anyway, she tells him basically like, look, I know you're Spider-Man. Like, save it. I already figured it out. Like, you're always disappearing when Spider-Man shows up and there's any kind of peril, you're gone. Spider-Man shows up. It's obvious. Like, I actually like that. I think it's something that's a bit of narrative dissonance in regards to the intelligence of the cast, the surrounding characters. No one can put two and two together and figures out Peter's identity. So I like the fact that, I can accept it for side characters that aren't as involved in Peter's life, so they're probably not committing as much of their attention to Peter and his going on. So, like, I can buy it. It's fine. But the people that are close to him in his life, the people that are, like, in his group that are with him in these moments, like, holy shit, an elemental has appeared. Oh, Ned, what are your thoughts on that? Peter, what are your Peter, where are you, Peter? Like, you would be thinking about it more, So I like the fact that this movie pokes fun at that, and she's basically like, no shit, like, I figured it out. Anyways, in the midst of the scene, one of the projectors, a piece of debris she picked up during the battle, I think, with the fire elemental, which is a piece of one of the drones, the projector, falls out of her pocket or some shit during the conversation and activates, right? Like, question mark, what? And then shows a projection of one of the elementals, one of the monsters, and they're like, oh shit, that proves that Beck is a fraud. Like, contrivance much? I get the general beats, but oh fuck, that's so contrived. Like, you couldn't think of a more natural, more plausible way to progress the plot, because the entire third act hinges on this discovery, this moment. I mean, what the fuck? I just think it's trash, but poorly written, man. Contrivance, total fucking contrivance. So Peter defeats Beck. Beck gets hit with a stray bullet. In his dying moment, he makes his video about how Peter is actually Spider-Man, and he like edits some of the footage so it sounds like Peter's basically killed Beck and is responsible for the destruction that ensued over the past week or whatever. And yeah, it's sends it to the Bugle, which during the mid-credit scene, or you got the best part of the movie, which is the J.K. Simmons, the J.K. Simmons cameo, and it's awesome, man. He's the only J. Jonah Jameson I know and I will accept in these live-action films. And yeah, he runs with the story, which that part, yeah, of course he would. I gotta believe that. But I don't think it's very convincing, especially with all the evidence we have compiled, now that we know that the elementals were bullshit. You can kind of piece things together retroactively. I don't think Beck has much credibility. Man, but yeah, sure. His identity is definitely out. I don't the identity being out thing, yes, like maybe it's like a final fuck you. Sure, that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. It's the fact that the people are buying that Spider-Man's responsible for these heinous, acts that resulted in people's deaths and the destruction of a lot of property. That's kind of a stretch. Just another issue with the script, with the story. So yeah, man, that's something. I know wow, boy, I spent a lot of time justifying this one, but C tier. It's C tier. What can I say? It's fucking C tier. Okay, moving on. Thank Christ. We have the final movie in the MCU Spider trilogy, No Way Home. A tier. Behind Spider-Man 1, though. But A tier. Incredible. I mean, I think it's, okay, maybe incredible is a stretch. Look, it's a great film. It's great fun. The perfect summer blockbuster. I think it released during the summer. Man, the fan service was executed so well. It's definitely got the most compelling arc that Tom Holland's Peter has been given yet. Like, he really loses, people and feels the consequences that come with being Spider-Man, and like the repercussions and the danger to his loved ones. All that comes to fruition, and it's comes to pass. And Tom Holland has to emotionally contend with all that, and it's very compelling, and I think it's well acted and well written, and that's kind of the driving force of the film, I think. And that's well done. So that's probably the most important thing. The action is holds up pretty well. Actually, I think it's the best action sequences of this MCU trilogy. I still don't think it hits the high points of Spider-Man 2 or 1, but it gets damn close. I mean, the fight between Peter and Green Goblin, because obviously Willem Dafoe's back, and that's incredible. He does just as well portraying the Gobby in this movie as he did in the Raimi Spider-Man 1. But the fight between him and Peter is awesome, and they definitely address the issue that I had with the fights prior, with the lack of weightiness and the lack of impact behind these punches. But in Far From Home, they are beating the shit out of each other. Like, they are really fucking laying into each other. And I think it's awesome. I think it's really, really engaging action. And the whole scene where Peter's just beating the fuck out of Willem, and he just starts laughing at him. He starts cackling like a maniac in his face. Like, not good enough. It's amazing. It's awesome. So, and then, Aunt May's death really hits home. It hits hard. So, yeah, I think this movie's awesome. I think it's well done. I don't like some of the, I don't like the Ned Magic thing and the fact that he's responsible kind of like accidentally, seemingly, for bringing the other Spider-Man into their reality, into their universe or whatever. I wish that was. I just don't like when movies. I don't like contrivances like that. I don't like when there's a massive aspect of the plot that's reliant on this chance event, like this unlikely, statistically improbable event taking place, and it's like, well, thank God that happened. But I'm trying to think of issues I have with this movie, and there's just really not that many. I mean, I like the. Well, I will. So Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man getting impaled, or he just gets stabbed. I don't know, just gets stabbed. I mean, he gets run through. It's pretty serious. But that was like this dramatic moment that it's kind of like the because you want every action should have consequences, and Tom Holland's decision to go off the deep end, or his inability to stop his emotions from taking over and attempting to kill the Green Goblin, resulted in Tobey Maguire having to intervene and stop him from, impaling him with the glider, which allowed Gabi the opportunity to stab Toby. And so, yeah, it's like, damn, that's the burden of that responsibility. I mean, like, you put your body on the line for that, when you're selfless in that regard. So anyways, it's kind of retcon. I mean, like, immediately, they kind of pull the rug out from underneath you, and then it's like, yeah, he's fine. Like, he's all right. I mean, he got fucking, it's ran through, but he's just leaning on Andrew at the end of the movie, practically supporting his own weight, smiling. Like, I'm not saying you got to kill Tugboat, but I don't know. Like, it's just like pointless. It just comes across as pointless. But these are nitpicks. Like, the key essential narrative beats hit home and are executed well and work well. And yeah, so I don't have any major gripes with this movie. I think it's amazing fan service and overall very competently made and well done, and some especially good aspects are included. Okay, I just realized, I'm sorry, the biggest problem I have with this movie, the biggest issue, the one that's keeping it from S tier, is the I don't think the way they brought in these villains from the other Spider-Man timeline, the other Spider-Man series, I'm fine with the way they were introduced, brought into the universe, but the way they decided to handle them, like, and characterize them, I hate the fact that they regress. Like, they're completely reverted back to their base forms. Like, they're reverted back to their characterization at the start of their movies. And so Sandman, it sucks for a character like him who was totally redeemed at the end of Spider-Man 3 and grew and changed and was a better man, and would definitely not be acting the way he's acting in No Way Home. And you can say that about a lot of, pretty much all the villains, just to varying degrees. I mean, they actually acknowledged it with Willem, with the Green Goblin, and worked it into the narrative with his kind of reverting back and forth from the Norman Osborn and the Green Goblin's influence. And so that was well done. But yeah, I don't like the fact that they were forced to regress the characters, and like Doc Ock having the his entire character diminished to the inhibitor chip plot point. And I just don't like it. I think it kind of deflates. I maybe in a way it's almost like bring back the Green Goblin. Maybe Green Goblin and Doc Ock, because Doc Ock I think was pretty well done. But and yeah, like, that's it. And don't bring back. I know it's like less spectacle, less less products that you can sell that are tied into this film's entire marketing push, which they need the money, of course, they need their money. But fucking Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and then Tugboat and Andrew, like, that would have been a perfectly tight film, like, not an ounce of fat on it, not bloated, and it would have made the whole thing more cohesive and narratively consistent. Because, again, I just don't like the way that these characters are forced to regress just for the sake of a plot that would have been better served just had they not even been included. Okay, so that's the MCU Spider-Man trilogy. Not bad. Moving on to Into the Spider-Verse. S tier. I don't think it's much of a surprise. I kind of spoiled it at the beginning, but S. I'm not going to put it ahead of Spider-Man 2, and that may just be personal bias, because I think I don't have an issue with either of these films. I think they're both amazing movies, both expertly crafted, and any changes I could make to them would be probably for the worse and totally subjective and based on personal. Like there's nothing that I could say that's like, okay, this would objectively improve this film just on a technical level. I think they're both incredible. But yeah, Into the Spider-Verse. And not much I can say about this one that hasn't already been said, kind of like Spider-Man 2. I mean, tons of praise has been heaped upon it, rightfully so. The animation is unbelievable. The whole idea of, we want to take that comic book style and the conventions that come with that medium and convert it to the big screen and portray it in movie format, like the Incredible Hulk early 2000s one tried to do. With those comic book panel type shots, it would divide the screen up with, which didn't really work so well in that movie. But my point in bringing that up is that Into the Spider-Verse accomplishes this. I mean, and not in a way that is expected. I mean, it's not what you would envision in your head when you think of, comic book to the big screen. And my God, it feels exactly like that. I mean, this is a faithful. It's not even about being faithful. It's just overflowing with creativity stylistically. It feels like a comic book come to life on the big screen, which is a monumental accomplishment. The animation is unbelievably kinetic, fast-paced, fluid, weighty. It's incredible. It's perfectly done. The animation's just 10 out of 10, and no complaints. Voice acting incredible. Miles' development and growth and development of his powers is so earned. Like he's not handed anything, and it's not just like this ass pull moment where he suddenly attains mastery of his abilities, because he gets some like emotional punch because of. He doesn't just suddenly gain mastery of his abilities due to a moment of high emotions or someone like dying in front of him. It's not like I'm angry and now I'm getting stronger type deal. He sucks for a lot of this movie. He kind of sucks. He earns his powers, and the scene where he finally makes that that leap of faith and has total faith in his abilities and it jumps off that high rise. Oh my God, like it is so badass and like so invested at that point and on the edge of your seat, like practically giddy. You feel that satisfaction, from his journey finally yielding fruit and him finally coming into his own. It's like it's so earned and it just feels so good. I really don't have any complaints with this one. Into the Spider-Verse S tier. It is an amazing movie, probably worthy of its own video like Spider-Man 2. Well, definitely. It's just a matter of if I will get to it. But S tier along with Spider-Man 2. These are the peak creative achievements in regards to theatrical Spider-Man releases. And then we got Venom. I haven't seen Venom. I'm not gonna lie. It's not that D tier. I know I put it in D tier. I don't know. I don't know where this thing goes. It just did not appeal to me. It's an interesting angle they're deciding to take. With this whole fucking buddy cop comedy type shit with pseudo horror, but not really because it's PG-13. Whatever. Interesting angle. It just doesn't appeal to me. I mean, the character of Venom's cool. I think his design's badass. He's not the most interesting character by any means. Very 90s, very much a product of his time. It's not the fact that I wanted them to lean into that direction or anything. I don't really care. But I don't know. It's not that I have some like fundamental issue with going in that direction. It just doesn't appeal to me. And the PG-13 rating too, I think is stupid. Like if you're gonna do Venom, that would stand to reason you're gonna incorporate Carnage at some point. How are you gonna make these PG-13 with someone like Carnage and Venom even, biting people's heads off and the whole fucking alien, symbiote cannibal aspect of it? Like obviously done to sell more tickets. And I really have no respect, not no, but it makes it hard to have respect for properties or films that do that. I mean, it's you're putting the creative integrity underneath
selling tickets, in terms of your priorities. So yeah, just didn't appeal to me. Haven't seen it. Maybe one day. I saw the second one just because my brothers were going to see it, and I figured I'd tag along just to do something with them. I'm not going to go into my thoughts on it. Didn't impress me. Didn't hate it, I guess, but it was a nothing film. Just kind of forgot it. So I can't imagine the first would make me feel any different. But anyways, this is a tier list. Venom. I don't know. Just keep in mind that Venom is a question mark. But this is a tier list. Let me know down below in the comments if you agree, disagree. How you'd rank things. I love the Spider-Man franchise. Definitely my favorite superhero. Love the Raimi films. I like a lot of what the MCU's done. Not a fan of the Amazing Spider-Man, but I'll always see a Spider-Man film when it drops in theaters, regardless of my initial interest or intrigue. So yeah, this is just a fun, quick little tier list video. Hunter x Hunter's up next, and again, let me know down below what you think. Make sure to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed. Thank y'all. Have a nice day.